I believe we have a quorum present, so we'll go ahead and call our
Who is this
meeting
dude
to
that's
order.
run against your boy?
The first order of business, I need to ask for a couple of amendments to our agenda.
Don't have
The
any
first will be
background or
under
anything.
item of new business, and that will be, is the time of year for us to appoint a nominating committee for purposes of naming officers for the Griffin Spalding Development Authority as well as the Griffin Spalding Industrial Building Corporation. That would go under new business, and then the other item that we need to amend the agenda for would be under David's Executive Director's report, filming at the Lakes of Green Valley. So if I could get a motion to accept those amendments to our agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on those? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, our agenda is amended as such, and we'll now move to the approval of the minutes, which should have been delivered to you for our last regular meeting of January 9th, 2014. A motion and second. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? I'll move into the financial reports. Tom.
Okay, if you'll turn to the financial statements section of your book, and the second page is the month of January. One thing I did want to point out, under the group insurance, about the middle of the page, you'll see that it was $4,809.64. That was because we actually made an early payment, so it'll correct itself next month. If you flip to the next page, on the net ordinary income, right in, this is page 14 down at the bottom. If you, in the middle of the page, the net ordinary income, you'll see that early payment on the insurance is reflected there in the unfavorable number, almost exact. And the net income down at the bottom of the page, the same thing. That unfavorable number is that early insurance payment for the month of January. Okay, if you'll turn two more pages to page 16, midway of the page, you'll see the net ordinary income is unfavorable, $3,248, which will, of course, be corrected next month as that insurance payment goes in. And then the net income for the year to date is $27,955.55 favorable for the budget. If there are no questions, that's the financial report. You can see we're still operating well within the budget.
Shall I include all minutes in the separate financial report?
We have a motion to accept the report as presented. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Before moving into committee reports, let me pause for a minute and welcome our representative from the city, Ryan McLemore. Glad to have you joining us. And mention that Fred Rudbick is our representative from the Chamber of Commerce, but with our change in meeting schedule, Fred had a conflict with another meeting, I believe in Upson County. Those of you that don't know Fred, Fred was chairman of the Pike County Chamber of Commerce last year. He's chairman of the Griffin Spalding Chamber this year, and apparently involved in some sort of economic development council in Upson County that had him down there today. So Fred's covering the region with his involvement. And then Jim Ogletree was the appointee from the city. I believe that was the position that Billy McDaniel had previously. And I'd love to say that Jim's off doing civic duty, but Jim's off snow skiing, so give him a hard time to get that opportunity. Now we'll move into our committee reports. Alton, any activity from investment?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Long range planning, Dave,
We have no report, Mr. Chairman.
and industrial park.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
I will warn you, Walker Cliff, you're about to get busy. It's that time of year when, when the grass starts growing out in the industrial park. Chipper, anything to report in transportation?
The county's finishing up their MIG, the road resurfacing program. I think they got,
I mean, they finished McDonald Road yesterday.
and they should be working on Flint Road. Those are the last two roads. Because of the weather, they've not been able to do the striping on the road. The temperature has to be 50 degrees and rising, and that has kept the company from doing the painting on the roads and stuff like that. So, but this week was very good to them, and they're trying to get a lot of this caught up. Also, the transit feasibility study that has been delayed twice already because of the weather is tonight at City Hall at,
No.
It's at the county.
it's at the annex, that's
Annex.
right, at
6
6 o'clock. And the meeting with ARC in reference to the urban area boundaries really doesn't impact Spalding that much, but that has also been delayed due to weather, and I think it is going to be next the
27th.
27th, and it will be in Turek.
Beautiful downtown Torrey.
So the weather has really impacted a whole lot of things, but, you know, from the county perspective, pleased to report that, from what I've heard from most citizens, that they're very pleased with how the county has handled it and the readiness. Some of our roads are giving us trouble, particularly the dirt roads, but that really doesn't have a lot to do with the development authority or anything like that. That's just kind of some of the transportation things we've been dealing with. I just want to pat our folks on the back because they've been working, trying to keep caught up in all of this.
And I would echo that, both county and city, and particularly Griffin Power.
Oh, yes.
That was remarkable how well the power stayed on through all of that bad weather. We never lost power at all at my house before, more than just milliseconds, but and there were some that did, but we were fortunate.
And I think everybody probably knows by now, the washout of the road right next to the bridge on Jordan Hill Road. The county's been working on that. Hopefully today or Monday or Tuesday of next week, they'll have that finished up and that'll be opened back up.
I found it highly ironic that the governor's special task force on inclement weather had to postpone their first meeting due to inclement weather. All right, David, you're up.
All right, it's nice to be back. I missed last month's meeting due to
Flooding.
the first storm, and still dealing with those issues. Also would like to comment that the city's two substations that service our industrial parks, neither one of them went out during the storms, which is a great thing as we are keeping local people happy as well as trying to attract new industry. It's always nice to say, but everyone now has heard of the storm in Georgia due to things that happened in the media. So we're happy to report those two substations stayed online the entire time, so that's a great thing. Regarding the lakes at Green Valley, a couple of things. We'll be starting on a landscaping, irrigation, signage, and street light plan. We'll be trying to focus on pretty much the main entrance at Wild Plum, and we'll be doing partial street lighting around, working with the city on that. And we're going to probably get part of the park done. We'll have to do it in stages due to splosh collections still not being exactly where we'd like to see them. And also, we have our preliminary plat that we filed for the lakes at Green Valley with Spalding County has come up, it's expired, and we've applied for an extension for that preliminary plat, and that comes in front of the Planning Commission next week. We don't anticipate any issues or problems, and staff recommends that we get the extension. On the University Food Technology Center, that project is moving along. And we have mentioned from the outset that the United States EDA had a really strong interest in assisting us. We got a grant of almost $2 million to go into that project from GSIDA, because it fits right in what they advertise on their website. And they have such an interest now that the regional director has actually offered to assist us in trying to attract food companies into the technology center. So that's a great thing when you kind of get some federal help bringing food companies in. So we'll see how far that gets along. Just to remind new authority members, we only have one here today. The state requires that you get 8 hours of development authority training within your first year. Even those that have a 1-year appointment, we still encourage you, if you'd like, to attend that. We will pay your tuition for you. And you can select, it's done through the University of Georgia. You can select a date that's convenient for you, in this case Ryan, if you'd like, and then we'll arrange things. And we pay one night's hotel for you, so if you go spend the night. So also invite new members, and again, we only have one here today. If you'd like to come by my office at your convenience, I'm happy to go over kind of history of the authority, where we are, what we're doing, kind of help bring you up to speed a little bit quicker. Most members, I think, have done that in the past, so I encourage you to do that. And one of the items on the agenda, the company that's doing a lot of filming in the area would like to use, ironically, this is really a stretch of irony. We put up the fences and the gates out at the lakes at Green Valley. One reason was because we created a nice raceway. This television company would like to rent the raceway. It's really a nice twist of irony. They would be out there probably a couple of hours. They've been out there every day this week looking, and they may have some future interest in a couple of other spots at the lake. So we just need permission to sign it. Mr. Fortune has reviewed the agreement with the company and the authority, and we would get $2,000 for the couple of hours they would be out there. They would not actually be racing around the parkway. They would be driving at a nice, I think the speed limit's posted 45. Not sure who posted it at 45, but this is a private road. They will probably go about 55. And you will be thinking they're on a dirt road, that they are filming from out of the car window. It looks like you're actually driving out in the country. So that's what they're going to be doing. It's pretty creative, so we just need permission to execute the agreement and get the $2,000.
So if we can get a motion to authorize David to execute the agreement with the movie production folks to film at the lakes of Green Valley. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Thank you. By now, you all know that Project Growth happened to be 1888 Mills. It's one that we're very happy about getting. There will be 100 new jobs. We feel like as important as the 100 new jobs are, that we help save 200 existing jobs from people actually in the area. They don't all live in Spalding County. And as you probably didn't read all this, their operations will be consolidated into the new Griffin facility. And that's a big deal. So even there are some outlying operations they have, but they all live close enough to where they'll be able to commute, so everyone locally will be able to keep their job. And we think that's a great thing. Today we just need to execute an updated bond inducement letter and resolution, as well as some additional bond documents. We are issuing bonds to assist in the financing. There is no liability for us, the city, county, community, or anyone. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them. Mr. Fortune has also looked at those documents, and we just need permission to execute those today.
Mr. Chairman, I put in the form of motion to execute the bond inducement letter for 1888.
And the resolution.
And the resolution.
Have a motion authorizing execution of the resolution and inducement letter on the bonds associated with 1888. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Second, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One project we've had for about a year that we mentioned to you was locating at a site where they had existing land. The parent company actually made them, you will look at this land because we already own it. So they have 3 projects, and one in California now, one in Texas. And we are still in consideration. We were the preferred site of the new company, but they're having to do what the parents tell them at this point. So once they finish those 2, they still have gotten in touch with us recently and said, we'd like to come back and take another look at the lakes. So that one still is a possibility. And we continue to get calls from solar companies who are either trying to or have a deal with Georgia Power to actually generate electricity and get on the grid with Georgia Power. And we have another one, and the best site we have for them is actually conveniently have this up here, the 120 acres across Rehoboth. It kind of slopes up a mountain. You actually could put, it's kind of hard to build a big building going up a mountain, but you could put solar panels because they do face south and east, and that's actually where they're trying to get them. So don't know what will happen. And they're also trying to talk with, and we are not really participating in this with them. Seems like a conflict of interest, so we're sort of backing off this. But anyone that has a large building with a large roof, if you'd like to lease out your roof, they can actually put solar panels on your roof to generate power and pay you during that time. We kind of let them go on their own for that. And we also have 3 new projects. 2 of those are food projects. We continue to get looks from food companies. And then one of the companies we've been talking about recently, we are actually in the final negotiation of our memorandum of understanding with the company. Assuming that works out in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we should have our first company in the lakes at Green Valley. So that's an exciting time for that.
What's that project name?
Project Snow.
Thank you.
Snow, that's what we've been getting out of Snow.
And ironically, one of their top executives was delayed for our last meeting because he got snowed in New York and couldn't get here. Yeah.
Also, we had, Kenwood actually called us about some connection he had several months ago from a company looking to do a project on a lot of acres. And we have had additional conversations and meetings with this company after the first meeting. And this is something that, like maybe for the chair to assign the long-range planning to take under advisement for an offer they have made regarding the lakes.
Yes, and we will be doing that. We'll be referring that to long-range plan because it does, they have presented us with, I believe they described it as a letter of intent, but it does have some, I guess, strategic challenges for us. We really need to look at that closely before we proceed with it.
And that concludes my report unless you have any questions. Happy to answer.
Any old business to come before us? Hearing none, we'll move to new business, and that would be the appointment of the nominating committee, whose charge will be to bring back a recommended slate of officers for the Griffin Spalding Development Authority, as well as the Griffin Spalding Industrial Building Corp. Or just Griffin Industrial Building Corp. I never can remember that. And I won't keep this simple. I'm just going to ask if Daoud, Walter Cliff, and Coach Goodrum would be willing to be that nominating committee to work on bringing forth a recommended slate at the next meeting.
Yes.
agreeable to you guys? All right. I think last year Joanne was in that group, but since she's not here today, I
Right now.
just let her rock. I don't know if that's right. Coach Goodwin there. All right, well, you guys will just coordinate schedule and
Yeah,
then
that'll be done prior to next.
prior to next meeting.
I just want to point out one thing that we have been working with. They are very active in the community, the Sun City Peachtree folks. They attend our meetings, Clay and Ballard, and we appreciate their interest. They also report back to the folks that are out there. I know William goes out there, Kenny, and I've been out there. We're trying to maintain close ties with them, and every now and then they will say, what can we do to help? And the few times we've said, okay, here's a couple of things you can do, we appreciate their response. They're very positive, and we appreciate their interest in the community.
Thank you.
April, one update from the Department of Labor?
Sure, I'll give you a quick update. We, right now, we're still working with December numbers. I think they're a little behind because of the weather and some of the other issues. But anyway, and these are the preliminary numbers. They've not been adjusted just yet, so they may change just a little bit. Our unemployment rate for Spalding County for December 2013 has remained at 9.9%. At 9%, excuse me, and it was 9% in November as well. We had 531 unemployment claims filed in December. In November, there were 313, and sometimes there is a little increase in December. Usually in January, so the numbers in January are going to be up a little bit because of the layoffs from seasonal help in December. Currently, the average number of weeks of unemployment that is claimed is 12.8 weeks. The labor force numbers currently are 28,690. We have 26,121 who are employed and 2,569 who are unemployed, who are looking for work. So those numbers are beginning to decrease. So hopefully that pattern will continue. Just on another note, our Commissioner Butler will be speaking on the Good Morning Griffin show with Dick Mara on March the 5th at 10 o'clock. So be sure to tune in and listen to what he has to say. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie, Chamber News?
Yes, of course, like your meeting was delayed, our board meeting was delayed as well. So we are having our regular monthly board meeting today at 3:30 at the chamber. Again, all of you are welcome if you'd like to attend. We are going to be having a lunch and learn, free lunch and learn at the Welcome Center from 11:30 to 1 on the 27th of this month. And Dr. Marianne Fortuna from the University of Georgia will be conducting that. And it's on choosing a business structure. And then also we'll have Sherry Maddock from the Department of Labor to talk about tax credits, the opportunity to get tax credits for when you hire people. We are planning our Power Partners Expo. That's going to be March 27th at Southern Crescent, and that's again another free program for entrepreneurs and people in small business to come in and get counseled and talk to some folks. We're hosting the Region 3B Star Student. That's going to be March the 20th, and that's underway. The golf tournament, Monday, May 19th. Our Governmental Affairs Committee meeting is going to be the first Thursday of March, and April's going to do the program. And since the Welcome Center is going to be busy that day, we are going to the Department of Labor. So if you've never been to the Department of Labor, it's an opportunity to come here in April and also to see what's inside that building. Our leadership class starts tomorrow. It was delayed from last Friday, and there are 23 participants in a good class. I think that's really good. Just appreciate everybody's interest and their support. So thank you. Call us if you need us.
Thanks, Bonnie. William? County?
Yes, sir. County Commissioners held their retreat a couple of weeks ago, set some goals and working on what we're going to do the next few years. Chipper reminded you of the transit and the resurfacing that we're doing, and also the bridge. on Jordan Hill Road. We're gonna have a work session Monday at 10 a.m. We're gonna be discussing SPLOST projects, financial policies, and a little bit about we have some new draft personnel ordinances that we wanted to talk about. We are fixing to start the 2015 budget process, so Development Authority David can look for a letter, tell us how much money he doesn't need to operate next year, fiscal year 2015. And
That'll be the same way I've been sending you.
Change the dates.
But I do want to say that the city and the county, I think both did excellent jobs. Kenny and I met and talked over the two past storms to coordinate and make sure that city and county were working together, and coordination of closing dates and things like that. And I want to thank Kenny and the city for all their cooperation, and worked out really well. We were very proud of our folks, how they performed in both storms.
Kenny, city update?
Yes, sir, thank y'all very much, and I'll pass it on to the folks that were really out there working during the bad weather. Been pretty busy, not only with the weather, but we've got a lot of activity. Kenman's been working hard with this filming group that David mentioned earlier, and they're gonna be all over town the next few days, from country club, the city golf course, the police department. I mean, they're everywhere, and we welcome them, because like they're paying y'all a couple $1,000 to use the park for a couple hours. You know, they pay us every time they intrude in our facilities, so we'll take them. Kenwood's also got a lot of economic development activity out there. We've got activity around the old Walmart site for the first time in 12 or 15 years. We've got activity around the old Kroger site. Probably won't actually see anything serious there until the construction is completed up there, but people are nosing in around there. Amazingly enough, but the new Kroger site is going through a remodeling.
Open a whole year.
Yeah.
That was fun. I mean, the day, one of the day right before the storm, and you went in there, you know, and I forget what I was going in there to get, but
You couldn't
You know,
find it, could you?
well, no, they had moved the bread, you know, and all these people were going in there to buy their bread and the milk, and they were standing there, and there was nothing there. And they, wow, they did have a run on bread, didn't they? They said, no, it's over there.
I saw a blog that said that Kroger had run out of bread. That must have been they were looking in the wrong place.
They got a fairly hefty permit to do some remodeling, so we'll take it if that's what they think they need to do. And we appreciate that. We've got activities, you know, the Housing Authority will probably within the next 30 days or so start demoing Meriwether Homes. If you've been by there lately, you know it's vacant, boarded up, and the fence is down, and they're fixing to start taking that down. And we'll come back over the next several months with a rebuilding project there that I think is going to be exciting, and everybody will be happy about and proud of once that's done. Let's see, we're starting land acquisition on our North Hill Street corridor. We're negotiating with property owners at the North Hill and 6th Street intersection. As you know, it kind of comes in at about a 30 to 40 degree angle there, and that's difficult, so we're going to be fixing that intersection, and then hopefully we can move on up North Hill Street quickly after that. Our old City Hall site right down the street's looking pretty good. We're finally getting some topsoil in there and some seeding in there. The commissioners also had a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the topics of discussion. So we've, I think, come to a consensus, and the DDA and the Main Street program and the city commissioners have come to a consensus that we're going to, the main focus of that area will be a park-like setting for downtown. And obviously the old City Hall itself, the historic building, we want to try to start putting a little money into it to make sure it's sound and we can use that for some type of civic building, whether it be archives, a museum, or a meeting space, or whatever, to kind of anchor that block and then have a nice park there. And maybe sometime in the future on the periphery of that 3 or 4 acre site, we might include some small commercial development that would be conducive to a park type setting. So we've got some good plans for that, and it's looking pretty good. So we're pretty busy. Our commissioners will meet, next Tuesday morning for a workshop and their regular meeting on Tuesday night.
Jim, anything you want to expand on that?
No, it was just gonna do that.
All right. Glad to have you here. Anybody got anything else to bring before us? If not, I will entertain a motion, we adjourn. Motion, and second on that.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Chuck and Tom, don't go.